I'm just going to wing it a little bit here. This is what I wrote in relation to Voice of America. Voice of America report as concerns Bernie Sanders' ideology. The Voice of America has a mandated mission that is supposed to be truthful. It is a good sign that the article quotes Noam Chomsky in his assessment of Bernie Sanders. Chomsky's label is that Sanders is really a New Deal Democrat. What is most attractive of Sanders' policies is free education. Most of this is aimed at higher education institutions that have benefited. If not, oh well, let's see, I went down. Oh, power. I had unplugged the power. Yeah, look at my nice reflection there. Let's see, and I went on to say a bunch of junk about myself. Educational institutions that have benefited, if not forced, an end to any... Let me see, most of this is aimed at higher education institutions that have benefited, if not forced an end to any working your way up the ladder meritocracy by influencing all HR departments of all higher paying administrative or leadership positions of any kind to be entirely dependent on purchased diplomas. Personally, I see that it would cost me about $5,000 to buy an acceptable independent studies diploma from Empire State, which is part of the SUNY system. It isn't that much unless you don't have it. My own community college education was paid for by Educational Opportunity Grant I applied for through Monroe Community College, where I studied. Anyway, I now believe in the great man theory history. And what I was trying to say further was that what you really need to make sure of, regardless of any higher education, you need to make sure that your educational systems are absolutely perfect. As much as possible, we know how to teach people. People have been learning how to do things and learning the essentials for a long time. And it's those ages. I mean, I say that by the time, if you don't have somebody right by the time they're 13, they never are right. So what is that? That's basically kindergarten through 6th or 7th grade now. You've got kids now that don't know how to read by the 3rd grade, and they're working to try and improve that. One of the things I really do emphasize is that peer-to-peer learning is extremely effective and less painful for the student, really. It certainly, I don't know. I remember teaching Chester how to read, and but I was probably pretty old by the time. He had some partial grasp. Sometimes people really, I don't think that I'm so. I mean, one of the failings of myself was in mathematics, or really arithmetic. And while I had a general grasp of numbers I could carry in my head when running my business, one of the big problems I had was I did not have an accountant to advise me more correctly. I knew that I needed more capitalization. But at any rate, Sanders' idea is that the money for this educational program of his would come from transaction taxes on Wall Street, which is now electronically driven. These algorithms are faster, and that's why we've had some odd crashes. It's similar to the reason, I had to change the name of Homeless Dog to The Revolutionary, because the algorithm that Amazon was using put my book in the dog training, I like dog training section instead of in literature. Alright, well, let's see, what was else was, what's trending? This is the simplest show I do. And it's just about what's trending on my Facebook feed. I read my feed. It's a simple, elegant little show. And there's a lot that can be done with it. Everything's right with, a lot of things are improved with Vita. Colorblind James, Chuck Cuminelli at Earring Company Picnic. Paul Dodd. I was online for 3 days and started writing regularly for popwars.com, and I did Transcendia War Commentary there. You can find it most easily, really, by looking at Internet Archives. There are two things I would give money to when I have it: Internet Archives and Wikipedia. Everybody else comes after that. We have limited generosity. That's what they say real poverty is. Not being able to give, not having yourself. Oh, my cousins are talking about going to the Civil Rights Museum. It was closed. They got to look at the plaque. My cousin Eliza is well dressed and looks great. So what kind of... Tom Maxwell, who's moved to New Orleans, has got a picture of his new home. It's quite nice. Look here. There it is. Alright. Yeah, I like it a lot. Really, it does look nice. Last, we had these friends that moved to, or the neighbors upstairs moved to New Orleans. I told them to, I'd been reading Scientific American, and before they left, I told them they ought to get a retainer and pay a helicopter pilot to come and get them when the levees broke. I'm sure they thought about me. They didn't like me anyway. Being right makes you kind of hateful, doesn't it? Oh, somebody from the Rochdale College thing here updated their photograph. That's great. That's great. I never did know these people. Okay, that's enough. We're at 8 minutes. To hell with it. Stop.